In this episode, we're visiting SOHO and West Village. The one I'm in right now, SOHO. This is one of the most business, creative-oriented neighborhoods in Manhattan, New York City. Chances are that one of these lofts, apartments, studios has an artist in them because they just take up the space to pursue their work. It seems like literally everyone is trying to use this tunnel right now. Now, I'll be one of the people to say that this neighborhood is literally what it looks like in the pictures. The architecture, the way that these streets are set up and the neighborhoods are compounded together, it's basically what you would imagine, which is one of the most amazing parts. Even the big brand don't go buy kind of coffee is, well, the aesthetic of SOHO, just like everything else. One of the spaces in this neighborhood is easily 10 grand plus just to move in on the first month's rent. With the repeated investments or recurring payments, multiple thousands a month. And if you're not somebody who's making money as a specific of business in one of these lofts or apartments, it's kind of like, well, what's your reason there? It's not something that everyone is probably going to be influenced by the idea of living there. But on the downside of the way that everything looks here, any kind of space that you get here, whether that is a loft or apartment or studio space, you have to be able to reassure yourself that you are going to be making the money that will replace the thousands of dollars of rent. It shouldn't be used to raise a family. Not that it's very suit and tie-esque, but it is a professional area of a neighborhood. In West Village, Greenwich Village area, like the East Village, both aesthetically pleasing in their own way and lovely places that I would call my home, there are also a ton of restaurants around here. That right there is a coffee shop, and right in front of me there are two other diner restaurants. I mean, these are just a few reasons as to why people decide to move here, and that's it. And not only are they aesthetically pleasing, but they pretty much all have vintage character to them because most of them were built hundreds of years ago, and they still maintain that in the exterior and some wooden floors and non-elevator having apartments. It's these kinds of apartments that most people probably envision when they think about what New York City might look like as far as a living at home situation. But there is one flaw to these apartments, and that is they are some of the smallest that you can find here in the entirety of New York City, and that being the most expensive as well. So there's the studio expense and the loft expense, and then there's just regular apartments that have a kitchen, stove, and all that you might need as a human being. But also, you're living here and paying this kind of rent for these spaces because you have specific reasons to be. That's what makes these kinds of neighborhoods as famous as they are. That's why everyone knows these kinds of places. The people that talk about them are influential, and it keeps these places alive. Like, well, today it's quite crowded in places. Not to the extent of like 2019 per se, but I have a feeling that this energy is not going to stop. I did want to make it a point to come to specifically a place like West Village and SOHO because I actually want to have an apartment and a studio space in both of these neighborhoods. If you want to see anything specific as far as the neighborhoods in Manhattan, comment down below. Let me know what you want to see.